Welcome back to another episode of the Olares Project, brought to you by Tim Unscripted. On the screen, what I've got is another step forward in the bot competition, or I should say the agent competition, between our three competitors that will be running the same model. And if you haven't been watching, I'm going to be running OpenClaw as an agent. I'm going to be running a Hermes agent and also Pool, which is built by Poolside. And we're using Poolside's model as the race car on our F1 simulation. So let me bring you up to speed on where things are at. And by the way, I've taken a bit of time off. There's been a lot of troubleshooting and wiring involved in getting this thing up and running. I do want to give a shout out to the team at Olares. They have been very helpful. In fact, I will say this, they are my partner in this, in that I've been working with them to get some of the containers configured and some of the nuances worked out, specifically around getting all of this set up. So huge shout out to the team at Olares. Hit their website, and I'll have that in the body below, because this is the hardware that I'm using in order to run this race. Now, they also have the operating system available, and this is all open source. So this is definitely a community-based project. Want to give them that, those props, that shout out, because I probably would have spent a heck of a lot of time trying to figure all this out on my own without their assistance. So, big shout out to the Olares team. So getting back into this, wiring is what I would consider one of the bigger challenges in any of these things. And of course, my troubleshooting partner in all of this is Perplexity. And, I'm not going to bore you with all the details. It's the reason why from the last video to this video, you don't know that I took a break, but I was certainly taking a break because not everything was very straightforward. So that being said, I actually got this set up and connected this morning. And by the way, one of the things, and I want to frame this appropriately because I'm sure I'm going to get some criticism. One of the things that I try to do when it comes to this type of recording on my channel, and by the way, I need to watch my timing here, is the fact that I am a big believer in exploration and curiosity, and you're working through some of the challenges on your own. So as a retired Navy chief, and this may or may not come through in a lot of my videos, one of the things that when I was going through the process of earning my anchor, there was a statement or a question that I heard frequently. So what do you want? Do you want us to spoon feed you everything? And that is kind of what resonates in my mind every time I'm getting into one of these, which is you're not going to see how the sausage is getting made. You're going to see kind of the sausage as it's almost fully complete, in that there's always going to be things that show up that don't work right out of the box, but they work well enough in order to get the job done. So what I wanted to show you first is I've got code server up here inside Olares, which makes sense. And, you can see here, hey, by the way, here's all of my Olares stuff, specifically, let's go application integrations, GPU. Yeah, you've probably seen enough of this already. But just to validate that we are actually running in the Olares environment. So I've got OpenClaw locally installed, actually in the GitHub, or I should say the code server GitLab repository. So I've got the code server instance. It's pointing to the GitLab repository, and everything is containerized in this environment. So, this is a lot of, I got to go over here to come back over here to go over here. There's a lot of twisting and winding and thinking through with my thinking partner Perplexity that I go through to get this stuff connected. And again, I don't spoon feed anything. I want people to have a little bit of a struggle so that they can have that sense of accomplishment when they get stuff up and running. I'm pointing you in a direction. That's really what I'm doing. And I'm encouraging and inspiring you to get the job done yourself. So this is part of the learning experience. None of us really lock in learning until we've kind of had to really troubleshoot and figure stuff out. And then it really locks it in. There's a whole field of cognitive psychology and learning psychology around this. I'm not going to get into the details, but you know, I nerd out on this type of stuff. So this is what I wired up just over, I want to say the course of a couple of weeks between filming the last video and this one. But what you're seeing here is, hey, by the way, I've got OpenClaw up and running in the terminal. You know, defined kind of its personality, although somehow it's going back to NemoClaw, which, you know, I had to make that decision. And that was in consultation with the Olares team, that it would be easier and better in the long run to just run OpenClaw because of the security wrapper around NemoClaw. Now, mind you, the Olares One does run a dedicated mobile 5090 NVIDIA GPU. So, yeah, logically, I wouldn't want to necessarily make that connection, but suffices to say, one of the things that I, A, didn't have the patience to really work through, but B, didn't think that there was a whole lot of value was, how do I manage the security wrapper around OpenClaw, which is running in this NemoClaw container, and make it fun and enjoyable and actually get some sort of result out of this whole single car, 3 different teams running an F1 track, which is, you know, it's kind of a metaphor for how this particular test is set up specifically to run on the Olares One, but more broadly to look at a single model as the F1 test car with the 3 different teams, or in this case, the 3 different agents running against the same repository and that same model, to see what sorts of results we could achieve with that type of AI structure and build out. So I'm a bit hesitant because this is going to be a first time launch for me. I haven't actually queued anything up to this point, but what I will say is that, hey, I did actually do a sanity check. It does have access to these files. Now let's get into a little bit closer view, which is just it's a second window of code server in this repo. All things are the same. And I've got the task 1 brief ready to go. And what I'm doing this on the fly, folks. This is all Tim unscripted. Let me see if it can access the task brief. Can you access typing? It's hard. The contest.task.briefs.md. All right. So, by the way, I rarely run unconstrained agents myself. Most of the time I'm running constrained agents, usually through the chat in the integrated development environment. And of course it turns back. Okay, what am I looking at here? I got an error. Let's try this again. Let me just Control-Shift-C, Control-Shift-V. Oh, and of course it's not. Access. Oh, seriously? See, this is the great thing about recording live and not doing any sort of actual prep. Folks, this is what happens at times. You know, let me go back here. Yeah, it's not picking anything up here. Oh my gosh. Really? Shift V. Okay. Wow, that's weird. I swear. Oh, phooey. Shift C. I really hate typing stuff out if I can. Oh, contest. Not task. Not briefs. MD. Oh. Okay, here we go. Oh, boom, we are off. All right. Okay, now that I've read it. This is great, folks. Okay, let me walk you through this. This is the response. So I don't see this. All right, well, okay, fine. Oh, and hey, by the way, I figured it out. Now let me read it. Got it. Okay, 3 contest tasks defined in the contest task brief. So here we are. We're going to see how this works. This is kind of, it's kind of, I don't know. I'm excited and a little bit frightened at the same time. Execute task 1. Now, mind you, I am really, I don't know how this is going to work out. To be honest with you, I'm going to do us all a favor. I'm going to make this a little bit bigger so that we don't feel like we're straining our eyes here. This is really, and oh man, I may have to duck here underneath because the Olares One, the fan ramped up and it's actually sitting down below on a different shelf below my main workstation. If you hadn't noticed, I'm kind of like at a standing desk. And so I've got a bunch of hardware from my home lab sitting closer to the window that I look out for my home office. Oh, wow. Okay. Let's see. All right. Oh my gosh. Do you see that? The request timed out. Okay. Resume. We're really struggling. Oh, okay. Okay. Wow. Holy this is going to be a bit difficult, folks. I can tell already. Now, let me explain. Oh my word. Folks, this is not looking really promising at this point. Oh, hold on. Hold on. Yeah, okay. Oh, whoa. Yeah, this is not all right. Oh my gosh. I didn't even notice that message was hovering up at the top. I really don't know whether this is a model issue or something else. This is weird. But you can see this is kind of painful. I wasn't expecting it to do this much. Oh, whoa. All right. So what may be happening here is the fact that this is actually doing a route. So I've got a gateway set up in a different container, which I'm tied back to, and it is tied into Ollama. So I've got the independently installed instance here of OpenClaw. The OpenClaw instance is running against Ollama. So I'm using this gateway, but I've also got OpenClaw installed in the container in code server. So this may be a technical challenge, and I want you to look. This is Tim Unscripted. There are things that are going to show up in the recording that are just part and parcel to figuring out how to make all of this stuff work. So what I'm thinking is that instead of actually running from code server directly to Ollama, because I'm hopping over here to this gateway that's already established and running, that this is probably causing me a bit of an issue. And so there we go. This is kind of where things are at. OpenClaw chat. Yeah, I should clear the screen. OpenClaw chat. All right. Wow. Maybe I should actually configure this one first instead of the other one. Anyway, reaching that gateway shouldn't be an issue. And I don't know, it may be something that I have to diagnose, but suffice it to say, this may be something as well that I get to bring back to the product guys at Olares and explain what I'm doing. Which, if that's the case, oh my word, look at that. This is painful, folks. This is really painful. My, oh my. Wow. I'm nominally disappointed in all of this. This is going to be an awful video to watch if we keep going this direction here. And it's not Olares' fault. I firmly believe it's related to how all of this is wired. Yeah. So I'm wondering if, let me put this on pause, see if I can pull something up by explaining to Perplexity what's going on and be able to fix what isn't working here in fairly short order so that we can continue to watch the recording, but with an improved response. So I'm going to put this on pause, be right back, and see if this is something that can be fixed fairly easily. All right, folks. So Perplexity did give me some scripts to run, or I should say some bash commands to run. So I am always hesitant when I am doing this to not explain what's going on. And let me show you how this exchange worked out. And so I am literally going with hey, this is the best fix. So we're about to hit the OpenClaw agent again. So I'm back here, OpenClaw chat, to get back into the session. And let's, all right, let's do this. So rather than continue down this path of frustration, I'm actually going to paste this into the chat window. So this is a bit more explicit, and we've got the directories loaded up. So, that's positive. But yeah, all right. This may solve the problem. Boy, this is going to be a bit more explicit than what I was expecting. Yeah, this is, oh my gosh. Oh, wow. This is like, all right. Instructions reduce monitoring pins even better since your current OpenClaw server is switching to stronger local model and asking. Oh no, that defeats the whole purpose. Oh my gosh. This is the worst suggestion Perplexity could come up with. The whole intent is to see if the poolside model could act as the race car for this particular test. Oh my word. Wow. I never would have expected. This is crazy. Okay, all right. I'm going to put a pause on this because this is worth actually pulling up the Ollama model page to show, or even better, the poolside page. I am simply blown away. My race concept basically got this is Perplexity, which, I will give it credit, is saying, look, Tim, yeah, the model won't work to do what you want it to work. At which point, what do I say? So I'm going to put this on pause just so that you understand what I'm really attempting to do here. So this is great context and backstory for the entire video series. Wow. This is really funny. So I'm putting it on pause. I'm pulling up some additional tabs just so that you don't have to see me fumble around. Be right back. All right, so I'm back. I am on the Ollama website, and this is a Laguna model that I'm actually running under the hood. Should work. Now, I'm smart enough to realize that the straight 33 billion parameter model is probably not going to load on my hardware. So what I did do is I picked one that would load, which I think is this one, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Okay, yeah. So it's the Q4KM, which it fits. So this one, okay, and you can see, look, this is a 23 gigabyte model. If I was to run, and this is the one that they recommend anyway. So this is the bigger one, I suppose. Yeah, the Q8. This is definitely a higher performing model, which is from the quantization. So the lower the number, the less performant it is. And so that definitely wouldn't run. It would end up sharding across system memory and video memory, which is not good. As soon as you shard a model, your performance dips significantly. And sharding is it's the practice of splitting up things across the available capacity in the memory that's resident on the hardware. So you would think, given that I was intentionally choosing this, this size model, that it would work, and it's not. Now, this is the weird part about this. Maybe because it's a mixture of experts and it only has 3 billion active parameters per token, I might be able to move up to the Q8, to the much larger model. This may be one of those where I do have to do an experiment here fairly quickly to see if running a larger model is possible. So, and you know what? It's better yet. Let's do this. Okay. Yeah, Perplexity, smart tool. All right. I really want to run this poolside model as it is the basis for an experiment. Spelling, not my strong suit, especially when I'm recording for experiments. Okay. All right. And I'm actually in the Olares projects. So, all right. This is running on the Olares One appliance. Help me understand my options with the models. All right, let's see what Perplexity comes up with. And by the way, I do pay for my subscription on Perplexity. I've been driving this for about 3 years now, and I find great value out of this. So, all right. So the timeouts you saw are more about how OpenClaw is driving it, long tool heavy turns, than about basic incompatibility. It's explicitly designed for agentic coding and long horizon work with its 131,000 token context window. But some workflows will be smoother if you pair it with a lighter model for short, high frequency tasks. Oh my word, look at that. Oh, whoa. Okay. So this unexpected twist, so this is interesting. It's asking me or suggesting that I do some updates to the model JSON file. Knows, but you have several local models registered with tool support. Yeah, I know, Hermes 4, got it. Yeah, I kind of fed it my entire list of models that I've got in my zoo. OpenClaw will happily use primary fallback. The timeouts you saw with Lagoon likely from large tool augmented turns into TUI, not a fundamental inability to handle the model. The sensible way is to set it up this way. Huh. See? Dang. This is Wow. This is a twist. This is a plot twist, because I am the software developer. I'm the actor who plays a software developer on social media. So this is a plot twist in the script that I had not accounted for before getting in to doing this work. Yeah. So, model fallbacks. Gee whiz, guys. This kind of logically defeats the purpose of the entire concept if I'm switching models between Poolside model and Google and Hermes or Nous Research. This is really a wrinkle I wasn't planning for. But hey, this is Tim Unscripted, and you can tell that, what? Oh my word. Oh, this is great. Okay. So this totally is not the direction that I thought this thing was going to go. Effectively, this is negating the entire intent of what I am doing this whole thing for. This is now 3 separate race cars, not 3 separate race teams. This is like, this is like Red Bull, its farm team, and Mercedes all trying to compete together. On the same test track, one set of test laps after another. Oh, dear goodness. This is a plot twist, unexpected turn. And this is my Saturday. This is the choice I have made for my Saturdays to attempt to do cool stuff using really neat hardware that's state of the art for as consumer grade hardware. And I have hit the proverbial wall, leaving the pit road, trying to get on the test track. It's like, so this is being recorded in 2026, and you guys will be able to see this, probably a video highlight. So Formula One racing this year in Monaco, Max Verstappen, who has four Drivers' World Championships under his belt for Formula One, unfortunately couldn't get his car to start from the starting line. It started and it sputtered, and oh my gosh, it was I am feeling like, to an extent, Max Verstappen in the Monaco race in the 2026 season. Max, you and I now have something in common, although not even remotely related, but metaphorically related. I can't get the car to get off the starting line. And on that note, I have some choices to make as to how successful or unsuccessful this whole approach is going to be. And I may need to enlist my friends and supporters over there at Olares to figure out what we might be able to do to potentially salvage the series. Because this seems to be a model problem. It doesn't seem to be a me or an Olares problem. So anyway, I'm going to close up this episode of the Olares project with the unexpected plot twist of, oh, by the way, your model's probably not going to work in this particular case. And let you guys get back to your business. This is another Olares Project episode brought to you by Tim Unscripted, with a dramatic turn near the end of the episode. Take care, folks. I will see you soon.